night I realized someone had been betting on my death, I almost went back upstairs and pretended I hadn't seen it. Because some truths don't just break your heart, they rewrite your entire childhood. The worst part wasn't the life insurance policy. It wasn't the accidental death clause. It wasn't even the fact that the payments had been made for 20 years. The worst part was the name on the paperwork. My mother. But that night didn't begin in the basement. It began with 5 years in prison. 5 years. That's what my sister Maya was facing. 5 years for fraud. 5 years for stealing investor money from the wellness studio she claimed was about empowering women, and somehow I was the villain. How could you be so selfish? My mother screamed. Her voice echoed off the kitchen tiles like I had committed the crime. Maya was curled on the sofa, sobbing into a tissue. Too perfectly, too rhythmically. I had lived with her long enough to recognize performance. It's not just a fun, Mom, I said carefully. It's my life. I worked 80-hour weeks for that money. Maya didn't miscalculate. She stole. She made a mistake. Mom roared, stepping into my space. And if you don't sign the house over to pay for her legal defense tonight, don't bother coming back. I have one child who needs me, and one who is a cold-blooded stranger. Then she said the sentence that rewrote everything. I choose her. For most of my life, I believed love was something you earned. By being reliable, by being calm, by not causing problems. I was the good son. Maya was the storm. But storms get attention. Calm waters get used. That was my first real lesson. Sometimes the responsible child becomes the family's emergency fund. I didn't argue. I grabbed my jacket and walked into the rain. But before leaving, I slipped the small digital recorder from under the kitchen table into my pocket. I had placed it there weeks ago. No, because I was paranoid. Because I was tired of doubting my own memory. That's another lesson no one teaches you. When someone manipulates you long enough, you start questioning your own reality. Gaslighting doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like you're overreacting. I sat in my car, rain slashed across the windshield. I pressed play. Is he gone? Maya's voice snapped instantly. No tears. He's gone, Mom sighed. He'll sign it. He's weak. He can't handle disappointing me. The clink of a wine glass. If the auditors find out the money didn't disappear into the studio, but actually went into your offshore account, Maya said calmly. We're both dead. Offshore account. My blood went cold. My mother wasn't protecting Maya. She was hiding behind her. That's when I understood something that changed me. Manipulation in public is emotional. Manipulation in private is strategic. I didn't go to a hotel. I drove to the man my mother had painted as the villain for 15 years. My father, the addict, the abandoner, the man who stole our college funds and ran off with a waitress. The house in the suburbs was modest. The man who opened the door looked nothing like the monster from my childhood stories. He looked tired, but steady. Leo, his voice cracked. She told me you didn't want to see me. She told me you stole from us. He didn't argue. He walked to a safe in his study, pulled out 15 years of ledger books, $5,000 every month for 15 years, nearly $1 million. I wasn't allowed contact, he said quietly. It was part of the divorce agreement. She said my influence would ruin you. I thought I was buying your future. I stared at the math. The numbers didn't lie. Another lesson. When one person controls the story, the other becomes a villain by default. 48 hours later, I walked back into my childhood home, this time with my father, and 2 IRS agents. My mother's face drained of color. David, you're violating the agreement. The agreement assumed the money went to Leo's upbringing, my father replied calmly. Maya jumped up. Leo, tell them he's crazy. I looked at her. For the first time, I felt no guilt, just clarity. I'm too cold-blooded, remember? The accounts were frozen, the house was flagged, the illusion collapsed. And here's what I learned in that moment. Boundaries feel like betrayal to people who benefit from your sacrifice. Months passed. Mom and Maya moved into a small one-bedroom apartment, funded temporarily by my father's charity foundation. Thin walls, peeling paint, cheap noodles in the air. Maya looked older. Mom stared blankly at a flickering television. "Leo," Maya whispered when I visited. "Talk to Dad. Mom's losing her mind." That tone used to control me. Guilt used to be my leash. But guilt is not the same thing as responsibility. I handed her an envelope. Her eyes lit up. She tore it open. No check. Just a business card for a cleaning service. And a note in my handwriting. "Rebuilding requires humility." No, another bailout. That was a lesson I learned the hard way. Helping someone who refuses accountability isn't kindness. It's enabling. That night, my phone vibrated. "You missed one account. Check the basement floorboards of the old house." The old house. The one my father had reclaimed. I didn't tell him. Some truths don't heal anyone. They just destroy what's left. I drove there under a moonless sky. The laundry room. The place Mom always called moldy and dangerous. The loose board came up easily. Underneath was a fireproof box. Inside, a second birth certificate for Maya. Different father. Different date. And a life insurance policy in my name. Accidental death clause. Paid every month for 20 years. That's when everything rearranged itself in my mind. Mom hadn't just been stealing, she had been planning. Betting on me not making it to 30. I sat on that cold basement floor for a long time, and something strange happened. I didn't feel rage, I felt release.
Because suddenly, my entire childhood made sense. The constant criticism, the subtle sabotage, the dangerous situations she dismissed, the way she always ensured Maya. Some parents don't see children as people, they see leverage. Assets insurance policies, and here is the hardest lesson of all. You cannot earn love from someone who sees you as an investment. The burner text wasn't from my father. The initials matched a name from my mother's old diary, the man she truly loved, the one she protected above everything, even above her children. I burned the documents in the fireplace. No, to save her, to free myself. Revenge would have tied me to her forever. Exposure would have shattered my father again. Silence. This time wasn't weakness. It was choice. I didn't disappear. I didn't destroy her publicly. I built something better. A life financially protected, emotionally guarded, legally airtight. Because the final lesson was this: if someone is betting on your failure, your survival is already resistance.
If someone only loves you when you sacrifice yourself, that isn't love. And if you ever discover your family treated your life like a gamble, you don't owe them revenge. You owe yourself peace. The night I found that policy, I almost went back upstairs and pretended I hadn't seen it. But I'm glad I didn't, because the truth didn't kill me. It freed me. And sometimes freedom is the only inheritance worth keeping.